Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us a little bit early. We're going to wait another minute or two to make sure we can get everyone that registered online. But thanks. We'll start in just a minute. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us for one of our November webinars this month. We are really excited for this webinar. I think this is such a fabulous opportunity for our members to be aware of. It's something definitely new for us to learn about. And so I just want to make sure we kind of reach as many people as we can with this new and really exciting opportunity with the DOT. So for now, I'm going to turn it over to Tara, and Tara, kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tara Lanigan. I'm a Presidential Management Fellow with DOT's Office of the Assistant Secretary for Research and Technology. So I'm here to share today about the SMART grant. So thank you, Taylor and CTAA for organizing this, and thank you all for your time this morning. So if you're not familiar, SMART stands for Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation. And it's a demonstration program for smart city and smart community technologies focused on improving transportation safety and efficiency. And it's a 5-year, $100 million annual program for state, local, and tribal governments. And we're just about 2 weeks out from this year's round of applications being due. So if you're applying this year, this webinar should be helpful if you're sort of going through that mental checklist of, do I have everything, just more holistically? And then if you haven't started one, you'll see another NOFO come out next year and every year after that for the 5-year program. So it's never too early to start thinking about next year. And I'm just going to go through a few slides here for the next 20 minutes or so, but I want to leave a lot of time for Q&A. Our deadline for questions to our inbox is actually tomorrow. So get me here while you have me. I do have sort of a restriction around what kinds of questions I can answer since the NOFO is open now. But I will, I'll do my best to answer your questions and let you know if I can't. So don't hold back. Just to give more background on SMART, it was established by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and Congress defined who can apply and what sort of technology areas are in play. So we'll get into those details. I mentioned this was a demonstration program. So even though this is coming out of the Office of Research and Technology, I want to be clear that it's not technically a research program. And on the other side of the spectrum, it's also not meant for solutions that are already widely used. So there should be a demonstration component to SMART projects, but the technology should be mature enough where you're thinking about scale in the next few years. SMART is also about technology interventions that are solving real-world challenges in communities. So we're looking for really purpose-driven innovation that is improving the status quo in transportation. And a big part of this is also about building capacity. We know that that's not always easy for rural, tribal, small cities, folks who don't have large staff. So we want this to be a way for applicants to think about how to build that capacity throughout the program and use the resources for that. I also want to emphasize that the SMART Grants program is not interested in technologies in search of problems. We want applicants to solve real problems in your communities. So start with the problem. If the solution is a smart city technology, then SMART might be a great fit. If smart city technology is not the solution, that's okay. But we want this to come down to what is actually going to solve the local need. So speaking of the technologies, these are the 8 technologies defined by Congress that we're talking about here. So smart grid, sensor-based infrastructure, commerce delivery and logistics, smart traffic signals, coordinated automation, innovative aviation, connected vehicles, and systems integration. So obviously this is a broad list, but the common threads we want to see are that they're demonstration projects involving one or a couple of these technology areas that are improving transportation safety and efficiency in a way that's improving the status quo. And we'll go more into the tech areas later. Just wanted to keep those top of mind for folks. Getting into the program details, SMART is a two-stage program. This first year's NOFO is for stage 1 applications only. We're anticipating somewhere between 30 and 50 stage 1 grants from this NOFO. There's a range because we have no idea what we're going to get. It's the first year of the program, so we'll see what the applicant pool looks like. And like I said, the NOFO is officially open. It has been since September 19th. And applications are due in just over 2 weeks on November 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is a Friday. So like I said, this will be structured as a two-stage program. Stage 1 is a planning and prototyping phase, and stage 2 is the implementation phase. Stage 1, which this NOFO is open for, has up to $2 million grants for up to 18 months. And then stage 2 will be up to $15 million grants for up to 3 years. And stage 1 is focused on building out partnerships, building out a proof of concept and capacity. And then stage 2 is about scaling the prototypes and evaluating the outcomes. And there will be a down select from stage 1 to stage 2 in future years. And after this year, future NOFOs will be open to both stage 1 and stage 2 applications. So we're only having stage 2 applications come from stage 1 recipients. This is the full list of eligible applicants. So states, cities, counties, AOGs, tribal governments, transit agencies, toll authorities, and MPOs. And applicants can also apply as a group with a lead applicant. There's also the option to do a collaborative application, which is where multiple eligible entities are applying separately for their own grants, but are acknowledging that if they get a stage 1 grant, they may choose to collaborate with other grantees working on similar problems using common resources. So this might be a smart city technology project that multiple cities from different states are already working on together. And DOT doesn't want to sort of cut off that line of communication and shared resources. But we also will be evaluating these projects separately on their own merit. So, we don't have anyone pulling folks over the finish line or blocking them from doing so. It's just acknowledging that some of this work is already going on. And just to highlight the difference between that and a group application, the group application is where a group of eligible entities apply together with one lead applicant for one single grant. So just want to make sure the difference is shown there. A bit more about collaborative applications on the logistical side. If you choose to do a collaborative application, each organization must be an eligible applicant. And this is different from partners. So I'll talk about partners next. Each organization would need to submit their own application. And like I said, each application will be evaluated on its own merits. So we may fund all, some, or none of the associated applications in a collaboration. On a related note, we get lots of questions about who can be a partner and what that means. So partners are organizations that may not be eligible applicants, but they are going to support the project in a meaningful way. So this might be academia, nonprofits, utility providers, a labor or workforce organization, or a private sector organization. And partnerships are in the NOFO as a program priority. We recognize that partners are essential to the success of many of these projects, whether it's building capacity, providing the technology solution as a vendor, or doing community engagement. We know that there's a lot of value from them, but we do want to distinguish them from eligible applicants. So when you're putting in your application, you might have eligible applicant partners that you're applying with as a group or as a collaboration or not at all. You also will have this other layer of partners that we expect will help create the success of this project. And you can still list those in your application, that they might change over the life cycle of your project. But we want to acknowledge the difference there and that both are important. And let's see if there's anything else on partners. You can also submit letters of commitment from partners. We want to emphasize quality over quantity with these. They should have specific measurable commitments and the tangible benefits that will be generated by those commitments. So if you do have letters of commitment from partners, there is a template on the resources page of the SMART website. And we've actually chosen not to accept or require letters of support. I think a lot of times there is a long list of letters of support that communities submit, which is amazing. That will likely be more involved in the stage 2 process. But for stage 1, we're really mostly interested in these letters of commitment, which are more measurable and tangible. Moving on to eligible projects. So here's that same list of 8 technology areas defined by Congress. We did a deep dive on each of these in one of our first SMART webinar. So I would encourage you to go onto the SMART website to watch that recording if you're interested in hearing the exact definitions from Congress and some further clarity that we provided. But I won't do that today since there are so many of them. I'd also encourage you to go onto our website, and I'll have these all listed out at the end here. We have actually illustrative use cases that involve example projects and utilization of the technology areas. So when you go onto our website, you can also see examples. So we want to emphasize that applicants should not attempt to cover all 8 of these technology areas in your projects. That would be too complex. So in line with making sure these are not technologies in search of solutions or in search of problems, we really want applicants to focus. We also ask that you research and think through applicable regulations depending on the technology area, because you'll be required to comply with those. So this might be ADA, FMVSS, or FAA regulations. It's going to depend on the technology since there's such a broad range. Also make sure to identify policy barriers, think through data requirements and workforce capacity building. So both planning and construction costs are eligible for stage 1 and stage 2 SMART grants, but we expect mostly planning activities will come through in stage 1 applications since it's focused on building out partnerships and capacity and prototype. But we get a lot of questions about that. They're technically all eligible activities. A few things you cannot use a SMART grant for: no reimbursement for pre-award or application preparation costs. They cannot be used for any traffic or parking enforcement activity, nor to purchase or lease a license plate reader. So just want to flag those. I won't go through all of this in detail, but this is just a list of the required application materials. We require a lot of the standard forms that you see across the department. The key information questions is a list of 20-25 standard application questions. These can all be found in section D of the NOFO. We ask for a 7-page or less project narrative. We're really aiming to reduce the burden. We know that grant applications are not an easy task. So, hopefully 7 pages is not too bad. And we have, a few sections where we sort of suggest page length so that you can stick to those 7 pages, as well as a few appendices, including a summary budget narrative and room for your letters of commitment. This is what we're evaluating applicants on. We have both technical merit and project readiness criteria. These are all also detailed in the NOFO. And it ties right directly into the project narrative. We're not trying to trick anyone. And there's a lot more detail on these evaluation criteria in the NOFO. So we want applicants to really, again, think about the problem they're trying to solve. So when you're thinking through your narrative and your project and building out those partnerships, I think ask yourself some of these questions. These slides are available on our website, so you can always come back to this as you're writing out your narrative. So thinking through the technology solution and whether it's effective for the community, whether it will address a known problem or lead to a significant improvement over existing conditions. Also thinking about obstacles that may have existed in the past and how climate equity and safety are addressed. Just a final reminder that applications are due November 18th at 5 p.m. and the deadline to email us questions is tomorrow at smart@dot.gov. And then just a list of application resources that are on our website, which is transportation.gov/grants/smart. There's a fact sheet, the NOFO is there. We have 2 webinars that we did. One was just getting ready for the SMART grants, and one was a more application focused webinar, sort of similar to the information I presented today, but more detail about the logistics behind applying. We have the illustrative use cases of the technology areas that I mentioned, lots of FAQs. So take a look at those. We've been posting them every couple of weeks when we get a lot of the same questions in our inbox to make sure folks can make sure anyone can see those answers. There's also a how to apply page. There's a checklist to make sure that you are doing all of the right stuff. And then we have a lot of application resources. So there are templates specific to SMART, like the letter of commitment. There's also guidance on the technology areas from the operating administrations throughout DOT. There's more on grants and financing, and then lots of links to DOT priorities, which are mentioned and alluded to in the NOFO, but you know, it never hurts to take a look at those, especially the innovation principles. So that is what I have for you all. Here's our contact information, like I said, but did want to open it up to Q&A. And like I said, you can ask whatever you want. I'll let you know if I can't answer it, or I'll at least try to give you relevant information.
Great. Thank you so much. That was so helpful. And while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I just wanted to highlight 2 of the resources that were mentioned here. I think the illustrative case use examples were really, really helpful use cases. I think that if you don't know where to start, I think that's a great place to begin. And the FAQs. DOT has done such a great job with regularly updating these FAQs that I think that is also very helpful. So we do have our first question. And it is this: are there any concerns if an application crosses state line, for example, 2 different states?
So definitely no concerns. And I think that's really up to applicants on how they want to handle that with either a group application, or if it's just you and you're not coordinating with another eligible entity. You know, we're kind of leaving it up to you to navigate that. If it's more about how do we involve multiple applicants across state lines, it's going to depend on how you want the money to flow. If it's more logistical, like not just the financial side, I don't think we have concerns as long as it's worked out on your side and it can stay that way throughout the project. But feel free to chime in if I didn't answer your question.
Thank you. Our next question: have SMART grants been used to support microtransit implementation?
Well, SMART grants have not been used for anything yet. So first year, but microtransit, I think, so sort of have to put the box around this right. I can't necessarily give advice on specific project ideas because we'll need the full context, but microtransit is definitely in the realm of SMART grants when you're looking at the technology areas and the types of applications. I don't think it would be completely out of scope.
Great, thank you. I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyways. Can the grant funds be used to purchase vehicles to provide transportation?
So yes, technically yes. A few things I'll mention is any vehicles purchased should be for public use. Because this is a grant going to the public sector, we expect it to be used either bought or leased by a public sector entity and used for public use. This shouldn't be used to purchase privately owned vehicles that won't see the light of day.
Great, thank you. Any more questions? It has been recorded, and we will be happy to share this recording right after this webinar is over. But for now, I don't think we have any questions. Contact information is on the slide, and thank you so much, Tara. This has been so fantastic, and I really encourage all of you to, if you can't make it happen for this year, I definitely can encourage you to make it happen for next year. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all. Like I said, you can email us through tomorrow if you have other questions, and we'll give you 40 minutes back, because who doesn't love getting 40 minutes back of a webinar? Thank you again, Taylor. Thank you all for your time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.